Most women today are attracted to sin, and it's no secret that the proclivity for most men and their decisions is to move toward not caring about what's actually going on. There's a lack of leadership on men's part, and I think a lot of the responsibility for the way that the women are behaving nowadays, and generally speaking in our society, falls upon men and the decisions that they've made and the choices that they've made and the lack of leadership skills available. And it's not necessarily entirely their fault either. It's not really anybody's fault. We were raised on social media. We were raised on promiscuity everywhere. We were raised on so many different things that that make us choose sin as well. But it's almost as if to the point now to where women need a dopamine hit more than anything else from the attention of men, and men need a dopamine hit for the avoidance of reality. It's like men would prefer to avoid the reality so that they would have the pussy on a pedestal mentality. And the women, it's almost as if the fathers are not teaching these women that there's more to life than male attention. There really is. And if you have a son or a daughter out there watching this, I encourage you to teach your sons that you need more discipline and you need to not consent to evil. And for the women out there, it's encouraging them to see that there's more to life than male attention, because I think that's why we're where we're at today. And this is one of the reasons why men's decisions have allowed women to become so scandalous. I cannot tell you how many stories I've had in the last couple years alone of just how scandalous some of these women can be. I've had women that have husbands biting their lip at me while their husbands are turned the other way. I've had women that are pregnant today, as a matter of fact, women that were pregnant and are pregnant, looking at me like I'm a piece of meat, and while she's with her baby daddy. And look, I get that your hormones are all over the place when you're pregnant, but that is really nuts. I don't really care how, like, you need to have a little bit of control there, sweetheart, because that's just highly irresponsible. You literally have the child of somebody else's, like a man. You have the child of somebody else's man. Or not really somebody else's man. You guys know what I'm saying here. You have the child of a man that is not me, already inside you, already growing inside you. This is wild. And I've really just begun to have it, and I'm done with all of these conservative women acting like they're Puritans in public while they're perverts and they're scandalous in private. I do not see how so many men as well are allowing themselves to be blinded by this kind of behavior. They're blindly following this, and it's like, you have to understand that at any moment a woman can change her mind. At any moment, if she has a better option, quote unquote, available. And it's not even like you as long as you are the alpha, so to speak, in her mind, she's not going to go anywhere, and she's not going to disrespect you. She's not going to cheat or anything like that, because you'll make it clear through your actions that even if it does happen, you have enough respect for yourself to walk away. And it's this lack of being willing to walk away, I think, is what is driving men to make these kinds of decisions. They can't walk away from their lust. They can't walk away from their own fleshly desires, and they do not have the discipline or the control over themselves to see otherwise. And I've seen men that are, I mean, these guys are simps. They are simps. And I was a simp at one point in my life as well. And it's all, every person that has actually grown into himself, every man that's grown into himself will be able to look back and see the time when he wasn't as vigilant as he is now. There would be a time where the succubus was highly attractive to him, or he was placing the pussy on the pedestal. That was his mindset. But it was never for me to the point to where I would pay another woman for sexual attention. And a lot of these men out here just do not have the self-confidence to think that they're worth it. And it's like, well, if you don't think that you're worth it, then you've got to do something about it. And if you believe that you can't do anything about it, there's nothing you can do about it, then maybe you're right. But you paying these women on OnlyFans or whatever, it's not the answer. It's not the answer. You're afraid to look inside yourself, sir. You're afraid to look inside yourself, and you're afraid to really accept yourself wholly, to accept yourself in flaws and all. And I know that because I've been there, man. I've been there. I'm not just talking out of my butt here. I'm actually taking real life experience and applying it here, hopefully to give a message to somebody that needs it. A lot of these men are not keeping themselves fit. They're not knowing how to do nutrition right. They're not knowing how to live a life that is just at the basic level, fundamentally pleasing to the eyes of God. And it's this lack of godliness in men that has completely lost our leadership altogether. I have so many things to say on this topic, and so I'm a bit stumbling through my words here, so bear with me with that. But it's almost like men don't know what it's like to lead anymore, and a lot of them don't have an example, because our men, for example, I just saw an ad earlier today that was released. It was an ad for a political campaign, and it was all these men talking about how they're man enough to vote for a woman. Y'all are being programmed. Y'all are being programmed, and unless you have the Holy Spirit to discern what is actually going on, you're going to fall into this ideological subversion of placing women on a pedestal. You're continuing to place the pussy on a pedestal, and it's like they don't want men to be men. Okay, being a man nowadays it's like a crime. It's like a crime to be a man. And yet it is the most attractive thing that a woman can perceive in a man, is to be untamable. I am untamable. And for so many women, it's like they need to tame, like they want to try to tame, like they see it as a challenge. And so when they're there for me and when they're trying to do certain things and they know that they can't, it turns them on. They get aroused by it. And I know this because I've seen it. And a lot of these married women out here, or these women in relationships, a lot of them in their minds, they've settled. But it's only because the men of their past, there might have been one man that stood out to her more than the others. And so she, in her mind, has this image of what a man is supposed to be doing. And if the man that she's currently with isn't doing that, and it also plays a factor with her dad, her relationship with her dad, but men are not involved in their children's lives anymore. And that's another thing that I think is a really big disgrace. A man choosing not to be a part of his family's life Like, it depends on the situation, and it depends on the circumstances in some ways, but at the same time, it's like, if you're not even trying to be involved in your family's life, or you've tried to be involved, but there's just an impasse that you keep approaching that is not solvable. I get that. I understand that. But there's a point where you have to really take a step back, analyze the situation, and see what you can do so that you can make the most out of it. We have too many people without fathers. We have too many women without fathers, specifically. Especially the men, though, too. Just people in general, guys. Like, this is a big topic. And it makes me a bit melancholy to think about these things, because I know what it's like. I know what it's like to not really have the kind of support in your mind, body, and soul that you need from the people around you growing up. I know what that's like. And it took everything that I had in my mind, body, and soul, myself, to get to the point I'm at now, to heal and to actually look back and forgive what was, and so that I can live what is. Because where you were and where you are is not necessarily who you're meant to be. You can be much more, but you have to make certain decisions. And sometimes you just have to suck up the suck and move forward. Do you think that I've always wanted to do things that I don't want to do? Or I've always wanted to do things that I have to do? I don't really want to do a lot of things oftentimes, if I'm being absolutely brutally honest, because I more so enjoy peace and relaxation, meditation, research, studying, creation, art. Those are the kinds of things I really enjoy and live for. But I know that in order to do certain things in this life, I have to do sometimes things that I don't want to do. And that is something that more men and women can really grow into, and grow to understand about themselves and life in general. Because once you get to that point where you accept the burden of your responsibilities, life actually becomes a lot easier and simpler. Life actually becomes more meaningful when you do that as well. And so when I see all of these women that are in relationships of some kind, looking out at other men, their men don't know it. I see other men doing the same thing. Men that are cheating on their wives, or men that are... I literally have heard stories from married women and married men that both married men and married women have come to them and said, "Oh yeah, we're both married. Who cares?" This is the kind of degeneracy that's going to lead us to Sodom and Gomorrah. Okay, God is not pleased with us, and make no mistake that we are going to be judged for it one way or another down the line. But at least I'll know, me personally, having not participated in that kind of degeneracy, that I'll go to my grave and I will be able to live freely with my integrity intact, my dignity intact, and I will be able to fly into the heavenly bliss that Jesus Christ has promised me. Yeshua has promised me. Because I know in my heart that I'm doing the right thing. And sometimes when you do the right things, it feels like you keep doing wrong. But that's only because we live in a sick society. Everybody's trying to take advantage of each other. Everybody's trying to use each other. There's not a lot of relatability and compassion anymore. And so if you meet a godly person, a truly godly person that's enthusiastic, that is excited about life, truly excited, not just perceiving to be, not just acting like it so that they can put on a facade, they can actually feel the excitement. That's somebody that you don't really see very often. And I think that's one of the reasons why so many people are sad nowadays, and they're on antidepressants, and a lot of men just don't know what hard work and dedication is anymore. It's really astounding to me. I used to be fat. I know what it's like. I know what it's like to have to go through this kind of stuff. I know what it's like. And when I was fat, it was more about me just wanting to eat pizza and ice cream and play video games and be lazy because I didn't want to put in the work. But only when you do the work, like if you have any kind of addiction or anything like that, the best antidote is it's not going to be anything other than doing what you know you need to do. So with all that being said, I hope this message was useful and insightful and reached the ears of those that have ears to hear and the eyes that have eyes to see. If you do want to join the Regal Change Academy in the Discord channel, the free Discord channel, the link is in the description box below. And then the paid Regal Change Academy is also in the link in the description box below. And this is going to be where you're going to have the tools to help yourself and other people grow closer to God, build and strengthen healthy relationships, build your brand and purpose and your fitness. And we're also going to have a community in the paid Regal Change Academy, the community that we have there. You're going to get more resources, and we're going to have grouply calls with that community. We're also starting a Bible study weekly that we're going to be doing as well, so that's going to be a cool addition. We also have the 7 Deadly Sins course that's going to be a 7-week program for everybody. It's going to be like a class where we read Dante's Inferno, parts of it each week, and then we come back, we do certain tasks related to each sin once per week. So that'll be really exciting as well. I also want to thank everybody that's moved from the YouTube platform over to X and Rumble recently. I appreciate you guys' support, and you all are the OGs of this channel. And with all that being said, peace be with you. Till next time.